again. This is the last day, and I am just going to show you our stand. So hold on while Sarah's going to take the camera now, and we'll just walk you through everything that we've got. There we go. Got it?
Okay, yep.
Yeah.
So what are you going to look at first?
So I'm going to take you through some of the work that I've done. So this is my painted binding. It's Sweet Thames Run Softly by Robert Gibbings, and it's hand painted with leather onlays and hand painted edges, hand sewn headbands, silk. And then we've got the Japanese binding, which is in this lovely silk cloth, which is lined with some beautiful Chiogami paper, and it's got a parchment paper inside. There's the Battle of the Somme, which is bound in bright green goatskin, and the images on the front are leather onlays based on the paintings that I did for the inside end papers. The book's hand painted, and it's got hand sewn headbands and painted edges. Then we've also got this suede book that I made, which is hand painted edges, and it's also got a suede inside with carbon paper lines that have been made with a brass roll, and it's sewn with red leather strips which are hidden behind the suede, and there's these little onlays and some gold tooling on it as well. And this book is called Don't Look Now and Other Stories. And then we've got a fine example of our restoration here, which is this Thomas Gainsborough. This is what it looked like before. So it was a real mess. The pages were all single pages, and it had to be made into a book with folios. So what has happened here is that if you have a look at the edge here, this is all the repairs that have gone into this paper in order to make it into a book which will open and be sturdy. And it's also got new leather over the spine, goes underneath the old leather, and it's been hand gold tooled by our wonderful Steve in the bindery, and it's got nice head caps and repaired corners as well. So a lot of work's gone into that one. We've also got some fine binding that Steve has done, which is this little red book's reminiscent of the Women's Institute of Bookbinders of the 19th century, and it's really beautiful. Steve designed this. The book is Wild Flowers. It's part of a series of several. If we go in, there's a whole list of this, and we bound this as a showcase for our work, and these books are quite small and portable, so you can see the quality of our work. And this little book has its own box, which has a slipcase integral. It's got like a little flap over case that the box lives in, the book lives in. So you pop that in, and then that goes in here, it slips in like that, and you've got that. It looks like a book on the shelf. We've also got a lovely calf binding. Again, this is bound by Steve. It's an example of our fine finishing, and the difference with this one is it's got a nice rounded top as opposed to this one, which has a square top. So we're just showcasing all the different examples of what you can have, what you can commission us to do. So this is a lovely smooth calf binding, hand gold finished. It's part of the same series of the Observer series of books. So we can do all of these books, the series, in different styles actually. Hand sewn headbands, gold tooling around the inside edge of the boards, and a leather strip going around the edge of the slipcase, and it's also silk lined on the inside of the box. We've also got painting, another part of the series, which is marbled end papers, marbled front. This is a half binding. A half binding is a binding which has got leather corners and a leather spine, beautifully gold tooled by our Steve. It's also been edge gilt, and it's got stuck-on headbands. Those. The difference between stuck-on and sewn on is these ones are little strips that you can literally just stick on, and the other ones that I'm showing you are sewn on. Yeah, and I'm going to show you an example of that in a minute. We've also got a lovely box here which contains a book of our own typography that Marcus, my husband, designs. He does the typography and typesetting. So in here, this is paste paper. It's gold tooled around the inside edge, and there are several examples of the sort of work that we can do for you. So if we look through these, this is an example of how you might want Trollope laid out. It's fairly classical. If we go to 61, we've got some poetry laid out quite lovely, beautifully. We can go on to page 113, and this is laid over 2 columns in a rather lovely font. And we go on, more examples here. So it just gives you an idea of the sort of look and some options as to how you might want your book bound. And it lives in this box. This is a drop-back box, but the difference between this box and other boxes is that it's got a false spine. So when it's sitting on the shelf, it looks like a book.
Very nice, that.
Yeah. And then we've also got this book here, which I bound a few years ago, and I actually did this with some help from Paul Del Rue. So I put the onlays on, and he thought it needed a bit of tarting up, and brightening up. So he embellished it with the gold leaf. So we've got this hand-sewn headband, which I learnt to do with Paul Del Rue, and also he taught me how to do hand-painted edges. This book is called, let me remind myself what this book is, Samuel Taylor Coleridge's Selected Poems. So I've got the hand-painted edges. These are based on oak leaves that I picked up from the woods and drew and traced, and generally made my own little pastiche there. And we've got the oak book. This one I did with Siân Everard a few years ago as part of a course in Décor du Vésinet in Paris with her help. And it was a collaborative project with my husband, with Marcus, who is a cabinet maker as well as multi-talented in every aspect. He's done this one. The boards are brown oak, and it's really rather nice. And the other thing about this book is that you've got this leather, which is strips of leather glued together, one on top of the other, and then sliced like on a prosciutto cutter or a guillotine. But you do it very, very finely, and then we sewed it very carefully. So that's that one. It's a simple-ish binding, but there's a lot of care that's gone into it. Moving on, we've got these kits, which are quite special. So I've wanted to do this for a long time. My niece Mimi came to stay, was it last year?
Last year,
and
yeah.
I said to her, can you give me a hand to set this up? So I made this model quite a few years ago at college, about 25 years ago, when I was at Guildford College, on a much bigger book, and I really liked the concept of it, using different materials. So we've got the covers are parchment, which is circa 1850s, and the paper on the inside of the actual kits, which are in this box, are Bartram Green handmade paper from the 1950s. So I love this sort of melding of old and new. The leather is a harmattan goat skin, and it's sewn with linen thread. It's completely non-adhesive. And the end papers are red khadi from Indian handmade paper. So I'll just talk you through this kit now. It comes with instructions, which have got everything that you need to know. In addition, I'm going to be making a video so that you will be able to see this actually being made if you get stuck. The cost is $85, which translates in English money as £68. And all the boards are already covered for you. The awl is ready, the leather strip is there, and it comes with a needle and thread, and it also comes in a lovely little gift box which we have embossed for you. It's gold embossed. So that's the kit. And then moving swiftly on, we've got some addition work examples here. This set actually belongs to my husband Marcus. It's a series of Teddy Leicesters, which arrived looking like this. They were a little bit rough and ready. So we've given them a new lease of life. We'll look at this one, shall we? So Steve has done a little pastiche of a Teddy Leicester signature, and he's redrawn the figures on some paper which we then turned it into a PDF and sent it off to the block maker, and it arrived back like that, which we then gilt using our blocking machine. We blocked it. And these are nice, just nice case bindings, but they've got lovely hand-sewn headbands as well. With each go in there, you can really see the hand-sewn headbands. And each book has got a slightly different colour. So we've got the red leather with the red sides, and this lovely maroon and lime green white headband.
Has that got a different embossing on it?
Yeah, they've all got different embossings. So if you look if you look at that, you can see they're all variations. And then this one with the lime green and another lovely headband. They've all been edge gilt as well. These are machine edge gilt. We can hand edge gilt, but these particular ones are machine edge gilt, and you can see all the different designs on there. So I'll pop those back. And then we've got this splendid raffle prize, which we have been gathering people's emails addresses, and this is the prize. It's going to be this lovely big album. Let me show it to you. Whoops. So this album is actually $170 for sale usually. And it's you can't get in, right. You stand back, Sarah.
I can't get it in.
You stand back. So
there you go.
That's the album.
Yeah, that's got it.
And it's bound with French straight grain leather and Shiogami decorative papers. And it's blank on the inside with glassine interleaving. So there we go. And I think that's, if you just go backwards and give everybody a sort of a long distance look at the table. And then we turn it around and we'll say goodbye to everybody. So anyway guys, see ya!
Bye!